She thought her blind date was a complete disaster, until the door opened and two little twin girls walked in, smiling, holding hands, and said, "My daddy's sorry he's late." What happens next will melt your heart and change everything she thought about love, family, and second chances. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that touches the heart, inspires hope, and reminds us of life's most unexpected moments. Emma glanced at her reflection in the polished cafe window, tugging nervously at her scarf. She had been coaxed into this blind date by her best friend, who insisted it would be fun and harmless. Fun? She wasn't so sure. Sitting alone at the corner table, she scanned the cozy cafe. The warm glow of hanging lights made the place feel welcoming, yet she couldn't shake the nagging sense of anxiety. Her eyes flicked to the empty chair across from her. "Where is he?" she whispered under her breath. A waiter passed by, and she smiled politely. "Just one coffee, please," she said, her tone calm but distracted. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon, but the cafe was alive with chatter and clinking cups. Couples laughed softly at nearby tables. Emma felt the pang of loneliness more sharply than ever. She had spent months focusing on her career, brushing off dating apps and setups. But finally she had agreed. This one blind date. She had told herself, just one date. What's the harm? Minutes ticked by. 10, 15, 20. Emma checked her watch again, a small sigh escaping her lips. She scanned the entrance each time the door opened, her hopes rising and falling with every new customer. Her mind wandered back to the dating disasters of the past, men who were late, flaky, or worse, uninterested. The familiar bitterness tugged at her chest. "Why do I even bother?" she muttered. She frowned and sipped her coffee. It was lukewarm, not that it mattered. She tried to focus on the book she had brought along, but the words blurred into a jumble. Her anticipation, mixed with growing disappointment, made it impossible to concentrate. Emma wasn't just waiting for a man she didn't know. She was waiting for a spark of hope, a reason to believe in love again. And right now, that hope felt painfully absent. A couple at the next table laughed loudly, the man reaching across to hold his partner's hand. Emma forced a polite smile, but the pang of envy was sharp. Her blind date, scheduled for 2 p.m., was now 10 minutes past. She tapped her fingers on the table, anxiety creeping in. She imagined every worst-case scenario. Maybe he had forgotten, maybe he didn't care, or maybe this blind date was just a cruel joke. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. No message, not even a polite text saying he would be late. Emma exhaled slowly. She felt a mix of frustration and resignation. "Maybe he's not coming," she whispered almost to herself. She considered standing up and leaving. She had enough dignity to walk away from someone who didn't value her time. And yet, something kept her rooted in place. A small, quiet part of her wanted to see this through. "Maybe he has a good reason," she told herself. The waitress approached with a sympathetic smile. "Is everything okay here?" she asked. "Yes, thank you," Emma replied, forcing cheer into her tone, but her eyes betrayed her disappointment. The cafe's warm light suddenly felt too bright, almost exposing the vulnerability she tried to hide. Emma's thoughts drifted back to her previous relationships. The heartbreak, the betrayals, the men who had promised the world and delivered only disappointment. Her skepticism wasn't unfounded. "I deserve better," she whispered. And yet here she was, taking a leap of faith. She had agreed to this blind date, trusting her friend's judgment. And maybe, just maybe, there was something waiting for her, but the empty chair remained a silent reminder. Life doesn't always go as planned. Sometimes disappointment comes dressed as hope. She glanced around the cafe again, noticing the small details she had ignored before. The way sunlight bounced off the window, the subtle aroma of baked pastries, the soft hum of background chatter. For a moment, she allowed herself to appreciate the stillness, the pause between events, the anticipation of something unknown. Emma checked her watch again. 25 minutes late. She was about to stand, her patience worn thin. The idea of leaving filled her with relief, almost gratitude. She would no longer have to endure the awkward silence of a blind date gone wrong. "It's fine," she muttered. "I'll just leave." And then she heard the faint sound of tiny footsteps. She turned toward the entrance, expecting, well, she wasn't sure what she expected, not him. Not anyone, really. Two little twin girls walked in. Not running, not chaotic, but calmly, holding hands, looking directly at her with bright, innocent eyes. They approached the empty chair and in unison said, "My daddy's sorry, he's late." Emma froze. Her heart skipped a beat. She blinked, unsure she had heard correctly. The girls smiled up at her, the kind of pure, unfiltered warmth that could melt even the coldest skepticism. Their presence was immediate, magnetic, and disarming. She glanced toward the cafe entrance, and for the first time in 25 minutes, her skepticism faltered. A man hurried in behind them, slightly flustered but smiling nervously. "I'm so sorry I'm late," he said out of breath. Emma stared, still processing. The empty table was no longer empty. The blind date she had assumed was a disaster had suddenly transformed into something she could never have predicted. Something touching, heartwarming and real. The little girls tugged gently at his hand and whispered something Emma couldn't hear, their laughter ringing softly. And in that moment, Emma realized that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings lead to the most unforgettable stories. Emma thought she was alone, abandoned and disappointed. But the universe had another plan, one that would not only surprise her, but also touch her heart in ways she never imagined. This sets the stage perfectly for Section 2, the heartwarming twist, where the blind date unfolds into an emotional, unforgettable story. Emma blinked, still frozen in disbelief, as the twin girls, identical in appearance, their hair tied in tiny pigtails, dresses twirling slightly as they walked, approached the empty chair. "My daddy's sorry he's late," they said again, this time louder, their little voices carrying the kind of confidence only children possess. Emma's heart softened immediately. The sheer innocence and sweetness in their eyes made her chest ache with warmth. She looked at the father who was rushing toward them, blustered but smiling nervously. His name was Ethan, and as he reached the table, he knelt slightly to greet the girls, smoothing a strand of hair from one of their faces. I know," he said, voice filled with gentle apology. "I should have been on time, but getting ready. Twins, chaos." Emma couldn't help but smile. There was something about his sincerity, the combination of slight embarrassment, nervous energy, and obvious care for his daughters that immediately melted any irritation she had felt about his lateness. The girls introduced themselves quickly, their excitement contagious. "I'm Lily, and this is Lucy," one of them said, pointing proudly at each other. Emma chuckled softly, holding out her hand. "Hi, Lily and Lucy. I'm Emma. It's so nice to meet you both." The girls beamed. And then, to Emma's surprise, they climbed into the chairs with an ease that suggested this wasn't the first time they had helped their dad navigate an awkward social situation. "We told Daddy he should meet you," Lucy added, her voice earnest. "We think you're really nice." Emma's heart swelled. She hadn't expected to feel such an immediate connection, not with the girls, and certainly not with their father, who now looked slightly embarrassed but relieved. Ethan finally reached the table, taking a seat across from Emma. He took a deep breath, clearly aware that he was on thin ice. "Emma, I'm so sorry," he began, his tone apologetic but warm. "I didn't mean to be late. Between getting Lily and Lucy ready and making sure I didn't forget anything, I lost track of time." Emma studied him, noticing the genuine care in his eyes. Unlike the many men she had dated before, he seemed honest, human, and completely vulnerable in a way that was disarming. "It's okay," Emma said softly, smiling. "It's not every day you get greeted by twin girls at a cafe." Ethan chuckled nervously, his shoulders relaxing. "I'm glad they did that. They told me you might be disappointed, so they came to make sure you felt welcome." Emma's heart skipped a beat. It was rare to encounter someone whose love for their children was so evident, and whose children clearly adored them. The conversation began slowly, with small pleasantries, but the twins quickly became the center of attention. Emma asked them about their favorite activities, school and hobbies. "We like painting and ice cream," Lily said, waving her tiny hands enthusiastically. "And we love our daddy," Lucy added, hugging Ethan's arm tightly. Emma laughed softly, genuinely touched by their affection. She reached over to grab a napkin and doodled a small flower for each girl, handing it to them. "For you," she said, "a little gift from me." The girls squealed in delight, their giggles filling the cafe. Ethan watched, a small, appreciative smile forming on his lips. "I think you're good with them," he said quietly to Emma. "They warm up to people pretty slowly, but they like you already." Emma felt a warmth in her chest she hadn't felt in a long time. The blind date that had started with awkwardness and uncertainty was transforming into a moment she would never forget. Just as Emma was beginning to relax, the twins leaned across the table conspiratorially. "Daddy, tell her about the secret," Lily whispered. Ethan looked slightly panicked but amused. "Girls, not now," he whispered back, though a reluctant grin spread across his face. Emma's curiosity was piqued. "Secret?" she asked, smiling. The twins giggled and shook their heads, then burst into laughter together. Emma realized that this man not only loved his children, but had created a world full of joy, trust, and laughter with them, something she found deeply appealing. As the afternoon continued, conversation flowed naturally. Emma and Ethan discussed hobbies, favorite books, and weekend adventures. The girls chimed in constantly, their energy keeping the date light and joyful. Emma noticed the little things, the way Ethan listened attentively to the girls, how he made sure they were comfortable, and how he included her in their playful banter. She felt a spark of admiration for his patience, kindness, and devotion. At one point, Lily leaned over and whispered in Emma's ear, "Daddy says you're really nice. I think he likes you." Emma felt her cheeks flush. But the smile that formed was genuine, a mix of happiness and surprise. Ethan, oblivious to the whispered confession, continued joking with Lucy about an ice cream mishap earlier that week. Watching him, Emma realized that his love for his children was effortless, natural, and inspiring. Suddenly, the cafe door opened again. This time no one entered. But the moment reminded Emma of the unpredictability of life. Just as her blind date had seemed like a disaster, the arrival of these twin girls had completely changed everything. The realization hit her: love doesn't always arrive in the way we expect. Sometimes it comes with giggles, tiny hands, and a pair of little twins who immediately steal your heart. She looked at Ethan, who was glancing at her nervously, unsure how she was responding. Emma smiled warmly, a silent message that yes, she was willing to give this unexpected, unconventional start a chance. "You know," she said softly, "I think your daughters are the best wing women ever." Ethan laughed, a sound full of relief and gratitude. "I think they know more about my dating life than I do." The three of them laughed together, a simple moment of connection that felt like it could last forever. As the cafe began to quiet down with the afternoon lull, Ethan looked at Emma sincerely. "I know I started late, and maybe this isn't the usual way to meet someone," he said, "but I really wanted to meet you properly. And now that they've introduced us, I hope we can continue this. Maybe another date, just us next time." Emma felt a flutter in her chest, a combination of hope and excitement. She nodded, smiling. "I'd like that," she said softly. The twins exchanged excited glances and high-fived each other. They had done their job, connecting their dad with someone kind, someone who could be part of their world. What began as a lonely, awkward afternoon turned into the start of something beautiful, all because two little girls took it upon themselves to bring hearts together. Life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. And sometimes the most unforgettable love stories begin with tiny footsteps and sweet apologies. This section sets up the emotional bond, humor, and romantic chemistry, while giving the girls a pivotal role in the story's heartwarming twist. After the initial introductions, Emma settled into her chair, feeling a curious mix of excitement and disbelief. She had expected an awkward blind date, perhaps an uncomfortable conversation, or worse, an empty table and wasted time. Instead, she was greeted by warmth, curiosity, and the genuine joy of two little girls who had decided that she was worth meeting. And sitting across from her was Ethan, the father who clearly adored his daughters and was now making every effort to make this date meaningful. "So, Emma," Ethan began, smiling nervously, "are you a coffee person or more of a tea person?" Emma laughed softly. "Coffee, definitely. Though with your daughters here, I might need something stronger," she teased. Glancing at the twins who were already giggling and whispering to each other, the twins' laughter was infectious, and soon Ethan joined in with a chuckle. The awkward tension that typically accompanies blind dates melted away. It didn't take long for Lily and Lucy to become the little orchestrators of the date. "Daddy," Lily said, tugging at Ethan's sleeve, "tell her about our secret handshake." Ethan hesitated, half embarrassed, but the girl's pleading eyes were impossible to resist. He turned to Emma, grinning sheepishly. "You're about to witness something very official," he said. The girls demonstrated a playful, intricate handshake, a series of claps, snaps, and spins. Emma watched, delighted, and soon she was laughing so hard that she nearly spilled her coffee. "I think I just made new best friends," she said. Smiling at Ethan, he nodded, relief written on his face. They can be very persuasive when they want to be. Emma noticed something important. Ethan wasn't just charming with her. He was patient, playful, and deeply attentive to his daughters. That balance of responsibility and joy was rare, and it was magnetic. As the date continued, Emma and Ethan began talking about themselves. Work, hobbies, past experiences, it all flowed naturally, punctuated by the girls' playful interruptions. "So, you're a graphic designer?" Ethan asked. "Yes," Emma replied, smiling. "Mostly branding, but I love creating illustrations too. How about you?" "I run a small tech startup," Ethan said, sipping his coffee. "It's challenging, but I love it. Mostly it's about solving problems and making life easier for people, which is kind of like parenting, I've realized." Emma laughed, nodding. "I can imagine. But your daughters seem fearless." "They are," Ethan admitted with a soft smile. "And they teach me something new every day. Patience, creativity, and how to let go of control sometimes." Emma admired the honesty in his words. Here was a man who embraced both his career and his family, not perfectly, but authentically. The twins, sensing that Emma and their dad were forming a bond, took it upon themselves to teach Emma some important lessons. "Emma," Lucy said, pointing at her cup, "you have to drink tea the right way. Hold it like this," she demonstrated, carefully tilting her pinky finger in the air. Emma laughed heartily, mimicking her instruction. "Ah, I see. This is clearly how all tea should be drunk." The girls clapped and giggled. "Good. Now you're officially part of our team," Lily declared. Ethan watched the scene unfold, smiling softly. "I think they might be running the date better than I am," he said, a hint of amusement in his voice. Emma nodded, her laughter fading into a warm smile. She realized that these small, playful moments were teaching her something larger, about patience, joy, and embracing life's surprises. She had come expecting a conventional blind date, and instead, she had received a crash course in love, family, and spontaneity. Midway through the date, the twins suggested a game, guessing each other's favorite things. Emma found herself laughing uncontrollably as the girls made outrageous guesses. "Your favorite animal is a rainbow unicorn." "No, it's a chocolate dinosaur." Even Ethan couldn't resist joining in. "I think your favorite is a pizza-loving penguin," he said jokingly. Emma doubled over laughing. For the first time in months, she felt entirely at ease, free from pretense and expectations. The laughter, the playfulness, and the genuine warmth were intoxicating. As the date neared its end, the twins whispered something to Ethan and then glanced at Emma. "We think you're really nice," Lily said softly. "And funny," Lucy added. Emma's heart swelled. She reached across the table and gently touched Ethan's hand. a silent acknowledgement of gratitude for this experience. For the chance to connect with both him and his daughters, Ethan's eyes softened. "They don't say that lightly," he said quietly. "I'm glad you could meet them like this." Emma nodded, feeling a sense of belonging she hadn't expected. "I'm glad too," she said, as they stood to leave. The twins hugged Emma tightly. "Come play with us again," Lucy exclaimed. "Yeah, and bring more tea," Lily added. Emma laughed and hugged them back. "I'd love that," she promised. Ethan helped gather their things, glancing at Emma with an expression of hope and curiosity. "So, maybe next time just the three of us?" he asked gently. Emma smiled, a genuine spark of excitement in her eyes. "I think I'd like that very much." The girls clapped and cheered as if celebrating a victory. Their small hands had not only rescued what seemed like a failed blind date, they had orchestrated the start of a new chapter for all of them. What started as a lonely, awkward afternoon had transformed into laughter, lessons, and a budding connection. Emma discovered that love often comes in unexpected packages, sometimes with tiny hands, sparkling eyes, and the gentle guidance of children who believe in magic. Fade out on the trio leaving the cafe, sunlight streaming in behind them, the little girls skipping ahead with joyful energy while Emma and Ethan walk hand in hand, smiling at each other. The cafe had emptied, leaving a soft hush over the space. Emma and Ethan gathered their things, the twin girls bouncing around with boundless energy, still giggling over their tea ceremony and secret handshakes. "Thank you for today," Emma said, glancing at the girls who were tugging at Ethan's hands. "No," Ethan corrected, smiling softly. "Thank you for meeting us, for laughing with them, and for being, well, just you." Emma felt warmth rush through her chest. She had walked into this afternoon expecting disappointment and awkwardness, only to leave with laughter, genuine connection, and a spark she hadn't felt in years. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with hues of gold, pink, and lavender. The city streets were bustling softly with evening traffic. But Emma felt as if the world had slowed just for this moment. "It's amazing," Emma said quietly. "Oh, how quickly things can change." "I know," Ethan replied. "I thought this might be just another awkward blind date. And now?" He trailed off, glancing at the girls who were skipping ahead. They were holding hands, sharing jokes, and clearly approving of the budding connection between their father and Emma. "Now it feels like the start of something real," he finished. Emma nodded, her smile soft and full of hope. The twins ran back to Emma, hugging her tightly. "Promise you'll come back?" Lily asked, her eyes wide and earnest. "Yes," Emma said, hugging them back. "I promise," Lucy added, tugging gently on Emma's sleeve. "And Daddy has to come too." Emma laughed. "Of course. I wouldn't dream of leaving him behind." The girls cheered, twirling around in excitement. Ethan looked at Emma, his eyes sparkling with gratitude and something deeper. Admiration, trust, and the hint of budding love. "I think they've already made up their minds," he whispered. "And so have I," Emma replied softly, meeting his gaze. The moment hung between them, a quiet understanding that something special had begun, built on laughter, shared experiences, and the playful guidance of two little girls. Ethan suggested a short walk through the nearby park. The twins ran ahead, holding hands, their laughter echoing through the crisp evening air. Emma followed, feeling light, almost weightless. "You know," she said, glancing at Ethan, "I wasn't expecting today to be like this. I was bracing for disappointment." "I know," he replied gently. "And yet here we are." Sometimes life surprises us in the most wonderful ways. They walked in silence for a few moments, letting the sounds of the city and the girls' laughter fill the space. Emma felt a rare sense of peace, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years, the calm certainty that this day, this moment, was the beginning of something meaningful. The twins spotted a fountain and ran to it immediately, splashing gently and squealing with delight. Emma and Ethan laughed, watching them. "I haven't laughed like this in a long time," Emma admitted. "Neither have I," Ethan replied, smiling. "It's easy to get lost in work, responsibilities, and adult worries, but kids, they remind us what really matters." Emma nodded, feeling a connection not just to Ethan, but to the life he had built. A life filled with love, joy, and dedication. She realized that this wasn't just a blind date. It was a lesson in patience, understanding, and the unexpected ways love can find us. As the evening grew darker, the family walked back toward the cafe's vicinity. The girls held onto each of their parents, creating a perfect small circle of warmth and laughter. Ethan turned to Emma, his voice gentle and sincere. "I know today was unconventional, to say the least, but I hope you see the real me, the one my girls know, the one who's trying to be the best father and partner he can be." Emma looked at him, touched by the honesty in his words. "I do," she said softly, "and I see how lucky your daughters are to have you. And maybe how lucky I am to meet you both." The girls beamed, clearly approving of this connection, and tugged at Ethan's hand, pulling him closer to Emma in a playful, symbolic gesture of acceptance. Ethan knelt briefly, hugging the girls tightly, then looked up at Emma. "So, would you like to join us again? Maybe for dinner or a little adventure? Just the three of us?" Emma smiled, her eyes sparkling with warmth and excitement. "I'd like that very much," she replied. The twins cheered, one of them giving a dramatic twirl as if to seal the deal. Emma laughed, realizing she had never been part of such a joyful, heartfelt negotiation before. "They've officially approved you," Ethan said with a grin, looking at Emma. "And I approve them," she replied, kneeling briefly to ruffle their hair. The sense of family, love, and connection was undeniable. What began as a seemingly failed blind date had blossomed into a moment of hope, laughter, and the possibility of something extraordinary. As night fell, the city lights flickered on, casting a soft glow over the streets. The trio walked side by side, the twins skipping ahead occasionally, their laughter echoing in the quiet evening air. Emma and Ethan walked hand in hand, their steps synchronized, their hearts light. Emma had come expecting disappointment. Ethan had come trying his best to make things right. And the twins, they had simply reminded everyone that love often arrives in the smallest, most unexpected ways. Laughter, lessons, and love, all intertwined in one unforgettable afternoon. Sometimes, the people we least expect to change our hearts are the ones who bring the most joy. And sometimes, the journey to love begins with tiny hands. Sparkling eyes and the gentle words, "My daddy's sorry he's late," fade out on Emma and Ethan walking together. The twins skipping ahead, city lights reflecting in the puddles of the evening rain. Laughter fading softly into the soundtrack. Emma's afternoon had begun with apprehension. She had expected a quiet, perhaps awkward blind date, maybe even a disappointment. The empty chair at the cafe symbolized uncertainty, doubt, and past heartbreaks. Yet as the tiny footsteps of Lily and Lucy echoed toward her, her expectations shifted instantly. Those two little girls, identical in appearance and full of joy, changed everything. They reminded Emma, and us, that life's surprises often arrive in the most unexpected forms. Ethan's arrival, flustered yet sincere, reinforced the truth that genuine care and honesty matter far more than punctuality or appearances. The combination of his character, his devotion to his daughters, and the girls' playful interventions transformed a seemingly ordinary afternoon into something extraordinary. The twin girls were more than just adorable accessories to the story. They were catalysts. Their innocence, courage, and intuitive understanding of what truly matters guided Emma and Ethan toward connection. They taught Emma, without saying a word, important life lessons. Patience is priceless. Waiting and observing often reveals things we might otherwise overlook. Genuine love shines through. Children instinctively recognize authenticity, and so do we. Joy comes in small packages. Tiny gestures, laughter, and shared moments can transform ordinary experiences into unforgettable memories. Emma had initially approached the blind date with skepticism, but the twins' candidness and Ethan's sincerity dissolved her doubts. Life, as they showed her, often rewards openness and trust. One of the most important lessons Emma learned that day was that imperfections do not define relationships. Rather, they make them real. Ethan had been late, flustered and nervous. Yet these flaws only highlighted his humanity. Emma saw that life is not about flawless first impressions or perfect schedules. It's about the authenticity and effort we bring to every encounter. The blind date, initially poised for failure, became a celebration of real people, real connections, and real joy. In accepting Ethan, Emma also embraced imperfection, understanding that love is rarely perfect, but it can be deeply fulfilling. This story is also a testament to the transformative power of family. The twins were not merely observers. They were participants, facilitators, and teachers. Sometimes the people we least expect to influence our lives are the ones who matter most, the narrator reminds us. The bond between father and daughters was evident in every glance, every gesture, and every playful interruption. Their love acted as a bridge between Ethan and Emma, showing that relationships do not exist in isolation. They are enriched by family, shared experiences, and trust. The girls' instinctive approval of Emma was a subtle but crucial reminder that relationships are not just about the adults involved. They impact and are shaped by the children and families connected to them. One of the most heartwarming aspects of this story was how laughter became the cornerstone of connection, from secret handshakes to tea ceremonies, playful games, and shared jokes. Humor became the language through which trust and affection were built. Emma learned that life does not need to be taken too seriously. Joy, laughter, and spontaneity are often the glue that binds hearts together. Laughter is a bridge, the narrator reflects. It connects people across generations, dissolves tension, and reminds us that love thrives in moments of play. The twin girls' infectious energy reminded everyone, Emma, Ethan, and even the audience, that the simplest forms of joy can be transformative. At its core, this story is about hope and second chances. Emma had been hurt in the past, cautious and wary of disappointment. Ethan had navigated single parenthood with dedication, but had also faced the vulnerability of dating again. Through the afternoon's unexpected events, both discovered that openness to new experiences can lead to the most meaningful connections. The promise of a next date, the playful cheers of the twin girls, and the shared laughter on the park walk all signaled the beginning of a hopeful new chapter. It wasn't just a date. It was the start of a family finding love, joy, and companionship together. Love often arrives unexpectedly. It may appear when we are least prepared, in forms we did not anticipate. Children have wisdom beyond their years. Their honesty, instinct, and joy can reveal truths that adults overlook. Imperfect moments can be magical. Late arrivals, awkward beginnings, or minor mishaps often create memories that last a lifetime. Connection matters more than appearances. Genuine care, patience, and attentiveness are far more meaningful than first impressions. Open your heart to new beginnings. Life's most rewarding experiences often require courage, vulnerability, and willingness to embrace the unexpected. Picture the scene, the city lights reflecting on damp pavement, the twins skipping ahead, laughter filling the air. Emma walks hand in hand with Ethan, her smile radiant, her heart light. The evening sky is a canvas of soft pastels, hinting at endless possibilities. This moment, simple yet profound, reminds us that life's most memorable chapters often begin with tiny gestures, laughter, and the courage to take a chance. So remember, love can surprise you when you least expect it. Joy can appear in small, playful moments. And sometimes, the most unforgettable connections begin with the words, "My daddy's sorry he's late." If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to like, share, and comment below which part of the story touched you the most. And make sure to subscribe for more stories that inspire hope, laughter, and love every week.